I'm Lawson Schaefer. Welcome to The Point TV. In today's society, we are bombarded with videos of adorable animals performing or doing something in a hilarious manner. And yet when confronted about the truths about the atrocities that are happening to these animals in secret, we ignore it and shut it out of our minds. This culture of turning a blind eye highlights several facts. Animal abuse is becoming more relevant and well known in the new age of social media, and animal abuse is scary and confronting. Today we are talking to Valerie Lambard, a crusader for animals, keen on keeping the message going that everyone needs to be involved in the welfare of animals, large and small. Please welcome my guest, Valerie Lambard. So, welcome Valerie.
Thank you, Lawson.
I was just wondering, what do you think the origins of animal cruelty were, and do you think it was always intentional?
Well, I'd actually just like to read something out to you. Yuval Harari said, "Animals are the main victims of history, and the treatment of domesticated animals in industrial farms is perhaps the worst crime in history."
Could you please expand a bit on that?
Well, everybody knows about caged chickens, and everybody understands, or maybe they don't understand, that there might be between 3 and 20 chickens in one cage. And just to give you an idea of a visual on that, this is the amount of room, an A4 piece of paper, that a chicken has for its whole life. And then it's slaughtered. It's really no life at all. And with regard to chickens as well, we have 5-hour-old male chickens that are regarded as a waste product. They are just macerated within 5 hours of being born and then used for fish food.
Wow, goodness. I've heard a lot about geese being force-fed fat so their livers would large and for better pate. Would you know anything about that?
Yes, that's called foie gras, and it is really exactly what happens. The geese are actually just handled, they grab them by the neck, and a tube is forced down their throat and fat is poured in. Some of these animals don't even make it because it really puts a lot of stress on them as far as their body is concerned. And this is all so that people can get a better tasting pate. But not only do they do that, but they also pluck geese and ducks while they're still alive so that you can get down for your quilt cover, for your pillows. And these are all totally unacceptable as far as I'm concerned. And if you've ever noticed, you know where they have landlines sometimes, where you see the sale yards? In those sale yards, if a calf is born during that time, the calf is just literally torn away from its mother and thrown over, and it is left to die.
Goodness.
These are totally unacceptable procedures as far as I'm concerned.
Wow. Live export seems to be a huge thing nowadays, and it all seems like it's for the benefit of some businessman or politician, isn't it?
Oh, live export is probably the darkest hour as far as farming is concerned in my eyes. These animals are put onto a ship and they travel for weeks at a time in hot, humid conditions, and they're normally covered in their own feces and urine, and they're dehydrated and hungry, and as you can imagine, incredibly scared by the time they get to where they're going. And as sad as it may be, the people that get them at the other end do not treat them with any respect whatsoever.
Wow. So what do you think the public can do about animal cruelty?
Well, first of all, they can eat less meat, that's for sure. And then if you start to look at what you're buying, you could definitely buy free range. Then at least you know the chickens are having a decent life. You can buy free range chickens, you can buy free range pork, and you can buy free range cows. This may be a little bit more expensive, but it's worth doing. I know if you went into the supermarket to buy your bacon rations and it was a little baby pig wrapped in cellophane, you would think twice about buying that product.
Goodness, yeah, agreed, absolutely. I could also imagine that fear of being sent to your death, like on these huge trucks to, go to the slaughterhouse. Do the animals by any chance have any sense of where they're heading?
Animals are incredibly intuitive. So I would say to everybody, just sit down and imagine being in that truck and you're drawing closer and closer to the abattoir. the smell of death and the smell of blood is in the air, and they can sense that. It would just be the most terrifying experience for any animal. And I just believe that if we want to have a kinder world, we need to be aware of these situations.
Fair enough. A lot of people say, though, that ethical choices for food, especially meat products, are a bit either costly or virtually impossible or hard to find. So what are some other changes that they could make?
If they don't become vegetarian. So basically you can follow your heart as far as that's concerned. So if you go on holidays and the obligatory elephant ride comes into play, please don't do it. These elephants are put through the most horrendous training, which means that they are taken from their mother. They have 3 legs tied and they use a little hook, and it's called a crushing process. They crush their spirit. They don't feed them, they keep them incredibly dehydrated until the animal is just so scared that it won't do anything against that person. And my own personal experience in Bali with my girlfriends, they all wanted an elephant ride. I couldn't do the elephant ride, but I went to the zoo with them. And being in that zoo, which was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life, next to where the elephant ride was, there's a little cage with monkeys in it. And monkeys are normally very flamboyant creatures. These 3 monkeys were just all lying down in the fetal position, and they were obviously just depressed. You could just feel the sadness in the whole place. It brings me to tears just thinking about it now. I just had to walk away. I just felt that the whole zoo was just a death zone as far as those animals were concerned, and I vowed that I would close the place down. Still working on that.
Fair enough. And since you seem to be a really huge expert on institutions that involve enclosing animals, I wanted to talk to you a bit about aquatic or marine parks. There seems to be a lot of controversy around them. It turns out the animals aren't as happy as they look. Is any of that true?
Well, you're always made to think that the sea lion coming out and the walrus doing all the funny little tricks are happy, but if you really look into it, they're in heavily chlorinated water that burns their skin and can blind them. So really, why is that classed as something that is acceptable to us?
I have absolutely no idea. Now, I have a dog, as I'm sure many people do. I was wondering, is it okay to purchase puppies, and are puppy farms a real thing or just hype?
Puppy farms are very real. People use them for profit only. So the females and the males are constantly being expected to make puppies, for want of a better word. And we had a case in the pound where I volunteer, and it was a beautiful French bulldog that was found on a building site, just dumped. And she had had 4 cesarean births, and her claws were growing into her paw pads, and she was riddled with infection. And they had just dumped her because she couldn't have any more puppies. And the pound paid for her medical expenses. She was fostered for a long time before she was put out for adoption. And now my girlfriend has purchased her, and she has renamed her Angel, and she lives an absolute life of luxury.
Wow, that's incredible. I'm sorry to cut you a bit short here, but we're running out of time at the moment. But thank you very much for coming on board. And don't forget to donate to animalsaustralia.org for this very, very beneficial cause. Thank you for watching The Point TV.